Hey everyone, welcome to video 2 of our M13 pack cracks, going over what we'd pick in an M13 draft. This is our second pack we're opening. We're going to go ahead and go back to assuming that this is our first pack of a draft. We're looking at pack 1, pick 1, what we would take, and how we would go as the packs got passed around, and maybe talk a little bit about synergistic picks with the pack from our first video.
This is definitely a much weaker pack than the first pack, and the first pack was not super great. The picks I think come down to there's Blade Tusk Spore. This is the 3/2 Intimidator for 4. Deadly Recluse is the 1/2 Death Touch Reach. Elvish Visionary and Queer and Dryad. So again, it looks like we're looking, and Torchfiend is. I mean, like he's not like really. You're not happy to first pick that guy, but again, it looks like it's the red and the green cards. Entrancer possibly is okay. Mind Sculpt's a common, so you might be able to draft like a mill deck with this guy. And the nice thing is that like first picking this guy doesn't commit you to the mill deck because this guy can play in your blue deck because he's basically just a 1 more mana horn turtle with a millstone effect.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think the picks do come down to probably I see it as Boar and probably either Recluse or Dryad. I'm actually not sure how good Dryad is. Obviously, if you can get this on turn 2, and then you can play like 2 or 3 spells, you can ramp her up to like a 3/3 or 4/4 early on, which is good. But she's obviously really weak in the mid to late game because
Sure.
you run out of spells and
Playing her
you're
on
just yeah, you're just playing
turn
her as a
7 or 8
1/1
is
and
not
hoping to
exciting.
make her a 2/2, which isn't super great.
Yeah.
But she's probably still has some potential in the right kind of deck. Yeah, so I think it's probably the Boar. This is a lot closer pick. The first pick was much easier, but I'm fairly certain I think I want Boar over almost any of these other cards. Again, I'm not really sure how good blue actually is. It seems to me, just from what I know on the face of the commons and stuff, that it's a weaker color
Mm-hmm.
overall. So I tend to lean probably towards the red card a little bit more. Green seems fairly strong too, and Recluse is perfectly fine. I mean, he blocks anything pretty much
Yeah.
and will kill it, so that's reasonable. He's not a very good attacker, and the other problem is since he only has 2 toughness, unlike the Scorpion that has 3 toughness, even blocking bears, he's still gonna bite the dust.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's the Boar, probably followed closely by the Recluse, and then probably Dryad, and then either like probably Entrancer. So that's kind of where I'm at.
And I think the Boar is worth pointing out is how strong Intimidate can be in a draft. You know, he's a 3/2 for 4, but that Intimidate against anyone who's not playing red or doesn't have the very small number of artifact creatures in the set.
Yeah.
The Boar is going to be guaranteed damage. He's going to be something that your opponent has to deal with in the form of not a creature,
Yeah.
unless they're playing red.
Yeah, I actually missed this guy too. There's a Walking Corpse. He's just a grizzly bear for black, so that guy probably also fits somewhere in here. You probably want to take him. I don't know if you want to take him higher than Dryad or not. I'd probably take him higher than Entrancer because, again, the blue to me just seems like a really weak color.
Yeah, instead of a 1/4 for 4, you get a 2/2 for 2. You know, the bears just turn sideways, they early aggression, and in most cases they can effectively stop, early creatures from attacking because they're big enough to kill it.
Yeah, Essence Scatter is another card as well. This card's fine. It's like one of Blue's better cards overall, I think. Again, though, I don't know. I haven't drafted any blue decks. I haven't played any. It feels like a weak color to me. I may be wrong about it, but just the fact that it's missing Aether Adept, which was one of the strongest commons in M12, and also Merfolk Looter, and the fact that Mind Control is now Switcheroo, and so it's a much weaker version. To me, it just seems like it's a worse color overall. I could be wrong. Maybe blue is perfectly passable, and so maybe if blue is a color you're willing to draft, then Essence Scatter I think actually jumps up quite a bit.
So far in the drafts that we've done, and we've done quite a few since the set came out, I've played against one blue deck, and it just so happened to be a person that opened a Jace and drafted a couple Mind Sculpts, and he went with the mill strategy.
Yeah, so he was on the mill plan, basically. Essence Scatter is still fine in that
deck
because
for sure.
you still need to be able to stop, like, you can't die while you're trying to mill them out or whatever, so being able to counter like a beater is perfectly reasonable.
But yeah, as you're saying, other than that, I haven't seen anyone really pilot a successful blue deck. Maybe there is, and we just haven't seen it, but that's the only blue deck that I've encountered so far in our drafts.
Yeah. Yep.
So
So
we're looking at the board here,
yeah,
looking at our first pick.
I would probably first pick the boar again. I think that's color preference more than anything else. Essence Scatter is, I think, probably the stronger card over the boar. But again, like I just am, I'm a little wary of blue right now in this set, so I'd be much more inclined to take the red card. Green is pretty strong in this set, so Recluse or Dryad's probably defensible. And again, maybe if you like black, you take the bear, but there's no way I would take a bear over like the 3/2 unblockable essentially, or a a guy that can trade with anything, or even like I would take Essence Scatter over Corpse. So
Okay, so those are our most likely, our first picks here. We're looking at these guys early on, and the second pick of this pack comes around with things missing. Other than that, we're looking at Fog and Angel's Mercy. If this was a pack later on, I know I've drafted Show of Valor, maybe not early on, but in a mid pick after I've fairly committed to white. It's a two. It keeps your guy out of death range, or in certain combat situations. Not a high pick, but it does go well in your white deck if you've committed to that color.
yeah, this is perfectly reasonable. It's a weak Titanic growth, but it's
Mhm.
still
And it,
pretty good.
yeah.
Saves a guy most of the time from removal or combat, so that's fine. These two again, bears. This guy is a bear with a possible, being able to remove something pesky, but also has the downside of like, dying to crank out command tokens or whatever. Can't really attack into those. This guy's actually not terrible, I think, either. Again, this is the question of like whether you can actually draft a good blue deck. The ability to control what their creature does with combat is actually not
And if
a
you're not
terrible ability.
if you can't see what this card is, this is the Courtly Provocateur.
Provocateur. I'm guessing it's provocateur.
That's probably right. I can speak, I promise. And he has the ability to tap to either make a target creature attack or force a creature to block this turn. So as when he says control combat, that's what this guy does. He can make guys attack or block, which if they have certain creatures that they want to keep back on the defensive, you can put them into awkward combat situations.
Yeah,
so.
I'd probably be more inclined to take the Entrancer over this
Mhm.
guy, but this guy might be decent. I think Alluring Siren was an okay card from what I remember. I didn't draft that set a whole lot, so I don't really remember too much. But yeah, so and then obviously just your Grizzly Bear in black if maybe you have a couple black cards like a Murder or two or whatever.
Okay, I don't think there's too much more to talk about this pack. We've covered it all. So we're going to go ahead and move to pack 3 in our third video. So make sure you tune in.